My entire career was based on my experiences here at Tulane as an orthopedic resident. And Professor Raul Rodriguez was actually here as a staff member when I was here as a resident. Really? So we go back a long, long ways. And we were up in his office reminiscing and telling stories about Dr. Jack Wickstrom, who was the chief of orthopedics when I was here as a resident. And how important it was. And I told him if it hadn't been for Jack Wickstrom in Tulane orthopedics, I probably would have never been able to get the training that I got in sports medicine, and wouldn't probably be doing any kind of subspecialty today. I'd probably be just a general orthopedist somewhere in the state of Louisiana, where I grew up. But because of my experience here and everything that I was privileged to be able to do in my training, it got me into the sports medicine world, which was just beginning back in the early 1970s. So I told him I owe everything, all my successes, if you can call it that, but my career in sports medicine, to my orthopedic training at Tulane University here at the medical school in New Orleans. I see a lot of kids that are hurt in sports, and about year 2000 I started noticing that instead of seeing college and professional athletes, I was getting inundated with young kids with what we call adult sports injuries that we hadn't been seeing in that young age. And I'm talking about kids 13, 14, 15 years of age, 12 years of age, coming in with what I call adult sports injuries. And all of a sudden my office was being flooded with these kids that are involved in specialization in youth sports. And so we started tracking it through our foundation, the American Sports Medicine Institute in Birmingham, and trying to determine what was going on. And indeed what we found was that there was an epidemic going on in injuries in youth sports. And from year 2000 up to a few years ago, we found that there was a 5 to 7-fold increase in sports injuries in these kids, which I called, described it as epidemic proportions. Well, the future is unpredictable. It's unbelievable. I quite frequently say the future of sports medicine is like 1969 when man first walked on the moon. And that was an unbelievable event. You probably, I don't know if you remember that or not, you probably are too young. But I remember where I was that morning when that happened. And I think sports medicine has that same unbelievable future. It's not as dramatic, or it doesn't have that international impact as walking on the moon, but it's going to have a big impact. And we thought that in the decade of this new millennium we would see big revelations in sports medicine, but it's taken longer from a research standpoint than we thought. And the big revelation in sports medicine happened early in my career, which was another advantage I have, was that I was there at the beginning when the arthroscope came to North America, and I got involved with arthroscopy early on, and that was the big revelation so far in sports medicine. The second revelation in sports medicine is still evolving, and that's the biologics. That means the stem cell therapy, gene therapy, tissue engineering, where we actually engineer an anterior cruciate ligament, put it on the shelf. Instead of using a human body part, we'll be able to engineer it. Stem cell therapy is coming. It's not from a research standpoint here yet, but it's being evolved. We're late in getting it done because unfortunately, with the economic woes, a lot of research in sports medicine is stagnated because of research monies. So robotic surgery is going to be available and being worked on in sports medicine. Sports medicine is a great field for basic research, and it trickles down to all of the population.